Hi, and welcome to the Ozzstar Cars channel. I'm Glenn. Today's fun project, we're going to talk about fire extinguishers, and in particular these H3R Performance. They're a high quality fire extinguisher, and they use something called a clean agent, which is a Haltron 1 type formula. And if you're not familiar with that, that's basically like the old Halon, but a more, I guess, environmentally friendly product. And I'm going to share with you the differences between what a higher quality extinguisher compared to a lower quality dry chemical. We've all seen, well, most of us, the white powder deal. And what I'm going to do in this video is demonstrate that for you. Now, we're not going to be burning down the C7 Corvette behind me, the Grand Sport. What we will be doing though is installing one of these in that car, and I'll show you the universal mounts that come with the kit to put it in. It should be a fairly simple install. And then we have a work truck that I also want to install an extinguisher in. So why don't we get down there to the Corvette and let's start putting it in, and I'll give you more details as the video goes along. So let's take a look at what we got here. I just showed you this little red one. It comes in 3 different colors. You got red. Here's the 2.5 pound that we're going to use in the Grand Sport and also in the truck. This one's black, obviously, and then there's also chrome. So if you have a show car or some kind of neat car, you're going to be displaying the vehicle and you can see the extinguisher to look neat and chrome. But anyhow, they also sent me a couple of these quick release brackets right here. So they have a cable, and I'll show you that. We'll do that in the Grand Sport, where you just pull that, boom, and it'll separate or come out from the mount real quick. And this is the universal mount right here. So basically this will fit many different applications, and I didn't want to drill any holes into the car, so we're going to mount it to the floor. And let me turn on the light here so you guys can see what's going on. Let me reach in. It's a little tight to film, but oop, there we go. So right here across this is the passenger seat, I want to mount that fire extinguisher. Your feet and stuff are up there, so it really shouldn't be in the way. You will lose a little bit of foot room, but that's not bad. Now, if you wanted to, another option would be just to permanently mount it back here in your trunk somewhere, through the floor. I didn't want to go that route, but that is an option. And I do know if you have like a Jeep or a pickup that has a roll bar or a race car, you can actually get a mount, this mount here, that's a little fancier. They do have stainless steel, and it will mount, or aluminum, it'll mount right to the bar. So let's pull this universal kit apart, or out. And here's all the hardware. And I'll show you the gist of how it goes together. We've got some nice brackets here. And you'll have to figure out which ones you want to use. For the Corvette, for the C7, I believe we're going to use these smaller brackets here, these extensions, and then obviously these pieces here, which I'll show you how that works. So one end is kind of capped off. This end's capped off. You put this in here. It's adjustable in and out. Take your hardware, bolt that to the length, or it's the length or the width you need. And then once that's in, your brackets, oops, don't pull on me. I'm doing this one-handed, so bear with me. You take your brackets like this, bolt this to this, okay? And then this end will bolt to that bracket, which would be like that. The first step with your C7 is you want to we're going to bolt it to the frame where the seat bolts down. There's a nut here. And to get these covers, there's one here, and then, like I say, it's kind of tight to film, but one right there. What you do is you just pull towards the engine. You give these a good yank. They pop right out. There's a clip right back here. There's one clip. Let's get this guy here. Okay. And then you want to get those out of your way. And then there's one 15mm nut here, and then you got one over there. So just get your socket and go ahead and loosen those up. And I've got to put the camera down, but we'll get our brackets mounted to those. That'll be our universal, and then we'll use our other mount to mount that, and we should be pretty much set to go. I've got a deep socket I'm using here to get down in that. Now, if you don't have a electric battery ratchet, just use your standard. These are only torqued. They're not much. I don't think they're more than like 30 pounds. So here's how easy this is put together. So this will be down in the floor like I showed you. This is our other piece. Just take your hex bolt. You'll need a 1/4 inch, Allen X 6-pointer, and there's a couple of these washers here. Let me slide this on. Just slide the washer on. Make sure you're going through the smaller slot, right? Because this is down in the floor like that. Just take this, slide that through this way, through the outside, like that. Oops, can't see what I'm doing. Take another washer. Take this is a 1/2 inch locking nut, so that'll self-lock so it won't back out. Just thread that on by hand. And then I'll take my ratchet. It's got the hex drive on it. If you just had an Allen, that's fine too. And then take your 1/2 inch wrench and just, oops, got to be going the right way. Snug her on up. And what I like to do with stuff like this is, don't make it tight right now. Obviously, you have to adjust it. So leave it a little bit loose so that when it's down in the car and you go to do your final mock-up, you have some room to move this, and it'll only take a second to tighten the bolt up. All right, I want to give you some quick pointers if you're using the extreme duty release here, this bracket to the universal mount, which is our metal bracket. Okay, and what you need to do is, it has this piece here. This is all nylon, and these nylon clamps. There's 4 bolts. They're 4mm hex with 1/4 inch nuts on the back. What you'll do is, when this thing is off here, you'll bolt those in so that the clamps right here are bolted to the main nylon piece here, which gets bolted to the metal universal bracket. And something to keep in mind, when you do put these clamps on, they're loose, you slide them on and then you bolt them down. Make sure they're above your instructions so that this is, legible. Yeah, legible, you can read it. And below it, obviously. Now, to release it, there's a grenade pin right here. It says pull to release. Look at that. Actually pull that out, and what it'll do is it'll swing up and then comes out. So there's a little U-shaped bracket that goes into this metal piece right here. So that kind of goes in like that and locks in. So this part is mounted to the car. Let me put this down and I'll show you. This is our unit. So this is, well, I should say this is the rest of our bracket right here. This piece mounted to the metal. This is adjustable for the universal bracket, and the bolts that actually bolt this piece, this extreme duty bracket, to the metal universal go right through here. There's 2 here. They get the big washers. Remember, this is adjustable up and this way, left to right. And then the other 2 bolts go right through here, and then our little washer and nut on the back. And then we've got our brackets, which will bolt to the seat. What is that? The seat bolts, I guess. The seat bolt brackets. So they're right here. So this, I'm going to actually have this sitting flat in the car, and you'll see it when it's done. I can't film it because it's so tight, but that's how that's going to work. And it's simple enough when you put it in. Let me grab it. You just take it like this, pop it in there, and then make sure your grenade pin is in. You don't want this flying around. There you go, and then we're all set. So I don't know if I mentioned it, but this has a 5-year factory warranty, and if these have to be used, they are rechargeable, so that's good to know. I'm going to talk more about the specs of the extinguisher at the end of the video, so let's get on with the rest of the installation. Here's how I'm going to mount the bracket. So everything's been adjusted, the length, and all these bolts are tightened down. This one here, I'm going to keep the factory nut. Now, the reason being, for the seat bracket, this stud is longer than that one back there. And what I didn't like is these brackets here were sitting, they don't sit totally flat. I guess you could reshape this, like grind it down so it's more rounded and fits down in there like level. Back there it was kind of wobbly, but I have no choice because this stud here is shorter. So when I put this bracket over, which we're going to do right now, everything's lined up. My factory flare nut here, this 15mm will fit down in there fine. I got plenty of thread now. Oops, gotta get it on camera. It's pretty tight to film here. It's tough, but I'm getting it. Anyway, I'll get that started. We'll snug that up. And then here what I did was I took some, I got some M10 by 1.5 nuts. And I'm just gonna, that nut's there, the bracket sits nice and flat on there. And I'm just gonna put this one on top. We're gonna double nut it. There you go, a double nut. So that one's snug. And then I'll lay my fire extinguisher in there and just make sure everything's even this way. So let me get that snugged up and we'll get to the next step. Everything's bolted in the car, so I'm gonna give you guys the grand tour here in a second. But I do wanna add that these fire extinguishers are very important. These are rated for like NHRA approved. And if you do a lot of, or any track days, you're probably gonna need a fire extinguisher. Even car shows, a lot of car shows, if you're gonna be there all day, they require fire extinguishers. You never know. I mean, it's so easy, especially for an older car. Gasoline leaks, oil leaks, they catch fire, there's a spark, you know, something shorts out. It's easy to happen. Later on in the video, I'm gonna show you some footage, unfortunately, of a C7 that burned up, and it had modifications done to it, you know, performance modifications, and something failed there. Something sparked and got hot and something burned. So, you know, oil, gas, plastic, any of that stuff, it can be real ugly. So let's go inside the car and check it out, and you guys let me know what you think. So I think it looks pretty cool down there. There's our pull cord. You don't have to have that pull to release thing, but you know, that pin's kind of hidden. If somebody didn't know it was down there, they might not see it, so you just yank that out. And I just set these caps, the plastic caps are just kind of pressed in over the bolts for now. I'd rather have the safety over the look anyway, so it's not a big deal if I don't have those there. But anyway, so that's how it looks, and there's still plenty of leg room, and we're good to go. Let's go racing. I want to mount the red one now on the back of this work truck. The sun's going down fast, but we've got some work lights. We're good to go here. Mid-November in Delaware, and it's still like 70 degrees at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night. Anyhow, let me show you where I thought the best place to mount this would be. This has a utility cap, obviously you see it on the top here on the back, on the bed, a topper they call it, and it has the storage shelves right here on the side. Zoom you on in, get a little zoomer, there we go. And this is steel right here. So I have just enough clearance when the top comes down here, the gate, I have enough space between the two to mount this one. I'm going to use the factory mount, I guess you call it, or the standard mount that comes with it. The way you undo this is just flip, and then basically this just pops right off like that. So we're going to mount this piece. It has a whole bunch of mounting holes. I'm going to drill a few holes. I'll mark with a Sharpie, put the bolts in, and I'm going to mount this thing right here. So I think that would be nice and handy. And it's out of the way of anything that's getting loaded into the truck, and there's nothing down here getting in the way. So I think that's a good spot. All right, so here we go. I have an idea where I want the bracket. I put a little dot here earlier with my Sharpie, and I'm just gonna eyeball it, make it as plumb as possible, as straight up and down for you folks that might not know. And I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna put two bolts in it for now. Just gonna use 2 bolts. If I think it's a little like wobbly, you know, it's not as secure as I think or I want it to be, then I will definitely put a 3rd one in, because you have plenty of holes here, plenty of choices. So let's drill this out. I don't know if you can hear those geese back there, but they're really honking. And by the way, there's nothing on the other side of this box. They call it a shelf, actually. Just pre-drilling this with an 1/8" hole. There you go. And then I'm going to get my 1/4" bit. Actually, let me go one step below that first. See if my hole will fit through that. Oh, that bit's dull. That's a dull bit right there. Here's the bolts I'm using. Yeah, I got to step it up. Let me just go for it and hit the 1/4". need some new bits. That's ridiculous. Hold on, let me go get a new bit. Alright, let me try this bit. We'll do a lot better luck. There we go. Okay. Now, I'll show you behind here in just a second, but trust me, it's empty. There's nothing there. Now we just take our bracket, and the head of these fit pretty tight around that hole there, so I'm not going to need a washer. I will put a washer, flat washer, on the back. That I will do. So this will be slipping in there. Come around here. And if your bolts are a little bit too long, you could always just bolt this in if you have something like this, and just take your cut-off wheel or hacksaw and just trim them down. These bolts are hardly sticking out back there. Alright, so that's good and firm. It's definitely not going anywhere. You could put some Loctite on those nuts back there that bolt if you want to, but here's the back. This is the shelf. Oops, I'm out of focus. Focus. There we go. So you can see they're barely sticking out. That's good. So, let's get our light. Then we could shut this. Alright. All sealed up. So with the bracket on, let's put our extinguisher in here. And there's a slot up here. This thing right here is on the neck, I guess you could call it, right here, has slots. So it can only fit one way, basically. That's it. Put that in there. Lock both of them over. Good and firm, good and solid, firm, whatever you want to call it. Just check, make sure nothing's hitting here. Awesome. You can see that bad boy a little bit right through there. Pretty cool. Just makes it nice. All right, it's been a long day. Let me take a seat on this comfy tailgate. Actually feels pretty good after a long day. But I just wanted to talk to you about a few little details here with these fire extinguishers. I'm going to show you a video clip of the clean agent and the dry chemical formula. Now, and the difference is the mess and everything else. But what I do need to talk to you about is this is rated, these extinguishers here that we put in are rated 2BC. So extinguishers have different classes, and the BC is basically for liquids and gases. So let's say you have an oil fire or gas fire, and it's also rated, the C I believe is the live electrical fires. So this doesn't, you know, when the chemical comes out, it's not conducting, it's non-conductive. It won't actually electrocute you coming back through this metal canister that you're holding. Anyway, in the video clip I'm going to show you, I had a fire pit going. Now, it would have been really great YouTube video if I just lit my Grand Sport on fire, but we're not going to test it that way. We're testing it on wood, okay? So my point is, these are not made to put out wood and paper fires. So I wanted to show the difference between the clean agent and that dry formula, where it makes a real mess. And if you can imagine you're putting a small fire out under the hood or even in the interior of a car, it would just be a disaster. That stuff can be corrosive, that white stuff, and it's, never mind, it's a mess. I don't even know how you'd clean it out of all the nooks and crannies. So let's check out that video clip. I have two fire extinguishers here. One's the Halgar. This is like a little mini version, brand new. And then I have this regular dry chemical that you can get, you know, for pretty cheap, but you get what you pay for. And I'm going to demonstrate the difference between what the residue leaves behind with the Hellguard and with this dry chemical, and you'll see how messy it is. So this is going to put it out first. I'm not going to relight it, but I'm just going to show you the mess. So here we go. You want to basically spray this towards the bottom in a pattern like this. So it's pretty much putting that right out. Now here's if you had the dry chemical, regular chemical. Now you can see, hopefully you can see it. Let me bring you in so you can see. And there's hardly, and this is smoke, but there's hardly any residue or, you know, from the spray. We didn't see anything. It was pretty clear. That's pretty much out. If I spent another second, it would be gone. But look at that. So you can see how clear this is. That just dissipates. I'll aim it away from the camera. It just dissipates. Where with our dry chemical, watch this mess. So if you put this out, you know, put a fire out in a vehicle, imagine in the engine compartment, the mess. Look at that smoke. That's all. Now that's not smoke from the fire. That's smoke from the extinguisher. But look at this mess. So there's residue everywhere. So that would be a very big mess to clean up. And look at what it's doing here. Imagine trying, you know, if you had to breathe that crap in. All right, what'd you think of that little demo? I know I need to lose about 20 pounds. That's what I know. This quarantine got me gaining some weight here. But anyway, I wanted to just talk about the seriousness of this. And actually, people do lose their cars every day due to fire. And I think in the United States, it's a crazy number. It's like across the entire country, I think it's like 400 or 800 cars a day catch fire. Unfortunately, I know more than one person whose cars caught fire, but a guy I know on Instagram, his name on there, his channel name is Try and Run. Unfortunately, his beautiful C7 Corvette is now totaled. It was burned. He gave me permission. I'm going to put some pictures up here, and you can see the car. There was a fire under the hood, actually, and he had no fire extinguisher, and I've spoken with him online, and he's told me how he wished he had an extinguisher and it may have saved his car. So now he's got a big insurance battle and everything else going on. So as far as the liability, it can be a major headache. So having one of these, even if you see somebody on the side of the road, it may help them, you know. In the house, it could save somebody's life, in the shop, wherever. It's really a good thing to have. So I highly suggest you get one of these, and I hope the video showed you how it's fairly simple to install these things. It's just a matter of having it. It's like any tool that you might work with. I mean, if you don't have the tool, you may be in up, we'll call it Duty Creek. How's that? We'll keep it rated G. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe. Definitely get a fire extinguisher. Have them handy. You can never have enough. And I hope the video helped you out. Check out H3R Performance. I'm going to leave a link to their website right here in the description down below in the comments, and you can check out all their products there. So thanks for stopping by the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.